I sit in my darkened living room at 9:37 p.m. on a Thursday evening, waiting. The only light comes from the digital clock on the cable box, casting its cold blue glow across the hardwood floors I installed myself 3 summers ago. Back when we still talked about the future. Back when we meant something. The front door opens, and she walks in carrying that pathetic little shopping bag, the same charade she's been performing for 3 months now. Vanessa looks tired, her auburn hair slightly disheveled, lipstick faded to nothing. There's something in her eyes I've never seen before, worry mixed with guilt, like a child caught stealing cookies. "How was shopping?" I ask from my leather chair, my voice unnaturally calm. Her smile is forced, practiced. "Fine. Good. Found some things," she replies, holding up the bag like evidence in her own defense. I look at her with eyes that have seen too much, know too much. The question leaves my lips like a death sentence. "Your lover didn't show up today, did he?" The shopping bag slips from her fingers and hits the floor with a soft thud. The color drains from Vanessa's face so quickly I think she might faint. Her mouth opens, but no words come out. Just this hollow, gasping sound like a fish pulled from water. In that moment, I see everything. The guilt, the panic, the realization that her carefully constructed lie has just collapsed like a house of cards in a hurricane. But let me back up. Let me tell you how we got here. 4 years ago, I met Vanessa Brown at a mutual friends gallery opening downtown. I was admiring a black and white photograph of the Golden Gate Bridge when she approached me first, intrigued by what she later called my quiet intensity. She was a marketing consultant with ambition burning in her green eyes, and I was a civil engineer who'd just landed a promotion at Harry & Associates. Our courtship was passionate, urgent. She loved how I listened to her ideas about starting her own firm someday. I loved how she laughed at my terrible engineering jokes and didn't mind that I preferred quiet evenings over loud parties. We spent weekends hiking through Marin County, talking about opening our own consulting business together, her handling marketing and client relations, me designing sustainable infrastructure. We married after 2 years of dating in a small coastal ceremony in Half Moon Bay. She took my last name, Vanessa Smith. No children yet. We agreed to wait until her career stabilized, though that conversation stopped happening months ago. I bought us a townhouse in Noe Valley, spent 6 months designing and renovating it myself. We were happy, at least I thought we were. I described our marriage to friends as solid, built on shared dreams and mutual respect. Weekend farmers market trips, late-night conversations over wine, watching old noir films with her head on my chest while rain drummed against our bedroom windows. We made love regularly, laughed often, fought rarely. We were those couples other people envied. But 6 months ago, something changed. The shift was subtle at first. Longer hours at the gym, new clothes I didn't recognize, more frequent networking events, and girls' nights out. Our intimacy evaporated like morning fog. Her phone became surgically attached to her hand, always angled away from me. The passcode mysteriously changed from our anniversary date to something she claimed to have forgotten. When I tried to initiate intimacy, she claimed exhaustion or work stress. Then she stopped making excuses altogether, just turned away and pretended to sleep. I'm an engineer. I notice patterns, structural weaknesses, things that don't add up. Her Thursday evening shopping trips started 3 months ago, weekly like clockwork. But she rarely brought home substantial purchases. Maybe 1 or 2 small bags, sometimes nothing at all. She'd return claiming everything was picked over or she couldn't find what she wanted. Now, snapping back to this moment, Vanessa frozen in our doorway, that shopping bag on the floor between us like evidence at a crime scene, I stand and walk to the kitchen table where I've left a manila envelope. "Sit down, Vanessa," I say, picking it up. "I have a gift for you." Her legs barely carry her to the couch as she stares at that envelope like it's a loaded gun. And in a way, it is. I'd spent weeks loading the chamber, taking aim, waiting for the perfect moment to pull the trigger. That moment had finally arrived. With trembling hands, Vanessa pulls out the contents of the manila envelope. The first document makes her gasp. Divorce papers, professionally prepared by Brown and Associates Family Law. The header reads, "Petition for dissolution of marriage, grounds adultery." But that's just the beginning. She flips through the photographs with growing horror. Her entering a modern apartment building on Riverside Drive, leaving 3 hours later, hair down when it had been up, clothes wrinkled, that post-intimacy glow I used to see after our own intimate moments. Each photo is time-stamped and dated, spanning 3 months of Thursdays. Bank statements show highlighted discrepancies, cash withdrawals on shopping days that far exceeded her purchases. Phone records revealing text patterns she thought were hidden. Then she finds the screenshots from the video, not explicit, but intimate enough to be damning. Her laugh echoing from another man's bedroom. Her voice saying things she hadn't said to me in months. Vanessa collapses into sobs, the papers scattering across our hardwood floors. "No, John, please. It's not what you think. I can explain," she cries desperately. "You can explain," I respond, my laugh coming out bitter, jagged. "Go ahead. Explain how you've been meeting another man every Thursday for 3 months while telling me you were shopping for shoes." She flinches at my raw vulgarity. I never speak like this. Never use words like weapons. "It was a mistake. I was lonely. I felt ignored. I just wanted some excitement," she stammers. "You wanted excitement," I repeat, my voice dropping to something I don't recognize, something cold and dangerous. "So you destroyed our marriage because you were bored." "John, please listen to me." Vanessa reaches for my hands, but I pull away. "I'll end it. I'll never see Jason again. We can go to counseling. We can fix this." "No," I answer firmly. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have betrayed me every week for 3 months." She begs now, promises pouring from her lips like water from a broken dam. She'll do anything, change everything, become the wife I deserve. But I'm not listening anymore. My mind has drifted back to 4 weeks ago, to the moment I stopped being a trusting husband and became something else entirely. It was a Thursday evening. Vanessa grabbed her purse and announced another shopping trip with that practiced casualness that had started to feel rehearsed. I looked up from my laptop and smiled. A smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Have fun shopping, babe. Take your time," I had said. Something flickered across her face before she recovered and kissed my cheek. That kiss felt like betrayal, like a Judas offering I was too naive to recognize at the time. That night, I couldn't ignore the patterns anymore. I researched private investigators online until my eyes burned, finally settling on Raymond Fletcher, a former SFPD detective with 20 years of experience and discretion guaranteed. We met the next day at a coffee shop in the Mission. Raymond was blunt in that way only ex-cops can be. "Most of the time, the client already knows. They just need proof," he told me. The investigation took 2 weeks. The first reports were mundane and almost reassuring. Gym sessions that actually happened, lunch dates with female colleagues I could verify, legitimate work meetings. I felt foolish, almost guilty for suspecting her. Maybe the distance between us was just normal marriage stuff, growing pains that all couples experience. Then Thursday arrived. Raymond's report changed everything. Subject deviated from stated destination at 6:42 p.m., tracked to residential address, 847 Riverside Drive, apartment 4B. Remained inside for 2 hours and 17 minutes. Registered tenant, Jason Whitmore, age 29, freelance photographer. I remember staring at that report until the words blurred. 2 hours and 17 minutes. In another man's apartment while I waited at home, probably wondering why she was taking so long to find the shoes that didn't exist. I requested surveillance photographs. The next Thursday, Raymond delivered images that shattered what remained of my naive trust. Vanessa entering the building at 6:45 p.m., confident and eager. Vanessa, leaving at 9:10 p.m., transformed. Hair down, lipstick gone, clothes slightly disheveled, moving with the languid satisfaction of a woman who'd been thoroughly loved. That night, she came home cheerful and affectionate, kissed me absently, said shopping had been great, though she carried only one small bag from CVS. Raymond suggested video evidence for divorce proceedings, but I'd heard enough. I paid his final invoice and terminated the contract. If I wanted to see how deep this betrayal went, I'd have to finish the job myself. Returning to the present, Vanessa is still begging through her tears, promising anything to salvage what she's already destroyed. But I'm not interested in her promises anymore. "I'll never see him again. I'll end it. It's over," she keeps repeating. I almost laugh. She has no idea it's already over, that I made sure of it. But I'm not ready to tell her that part yet. I decided to get the video evidence myself. Not because I didn't trust Raymond's professionalism, but because I needed to see the full scope of her betrayal with my own eyes. I needed to understand exactly what I was losing and what I was prepared to do about it. I spent 2 days scouting Jason's apartment building, posing as a prospective tenant interested in the neighborhood. The building was older, with poor security and an accessible fire escape leading to fourth-floor balconies. Apartment 4B faced away from the street. Perfect privacy for what they were doing, perfect access for what I was planning. The following Thursday, 3 weeks ago now, I called in sick to work. At 6:45 p.m., dressed in dark clothes and carrying my phone, I climbed that fire escape with my heart hammering so loudly I was sure someone would hear it echoing through the alley. The metal rungs were slick with evening fog, and I nearly slipped twice. Jason's balcony door was unlocked, arrogant and careless, like everything else about him I would later discover. Through the partially open curtains, I could already hear them inside. Her laugh, the one I used to love, rang out crystal clear in the evening air. I set up my phone on the balcony railing, angled through the gap in the curtains, and pressed record. For 12 agonizing minutes, I stood there in the cold San Francisco evening, watching my wife with another man through a camera lens. 12 minutes of passion and intimacy she hadn't shown me in months. Her voice calling his name, her body responding to his touch, her complete abandonment to pleasure with someone who wasn't her husband. I climbed down, hands shaking so violently I nearly fell from the third-floor landing. In my car, I watched the video once. Just once. I didn't need to see it again. The images were burned into my brain forever, replaying in vivid detail every time I closed my eyes. But something had changed during those 12 minutes on that balcony. The betrayal I'd witnessed through that camera lens had transformed me from a heartbroken husband into something else entirely. This wasn't just about ending the marriage anymore. This was about making sure both of them understood the weight of what they'd done. I began researching Jason Whitmore. Social media revealed a freelance photographer living gig to gig, financially unstable, constantly hustling for the next paying project. No family in the Bay Area, few close friends. A loner who'd moved to San Francisco 2 years ago chasing some artistic dream that clearly wasn't panning out. He was exactly the kind of person who could disappear, and nobody would notice for weeks. I created a fake Instagram account under the name John Development LLC, posing as a real estate company needing product photography for high-end properties. We messaged back and forth about a potential shoot. Good money for a day's work at some industrial locations. Jason was eager, almost desperate for the income. I could sense his financial desperation in every message. I scheduled a consultation meeting for this past Thursday evening, exactly 2 weeks after I recorded that video, 7 p.m., at an abandoned warehouse in the industrial district near Pier 70. Perfect for the urban aesthetic we're going for, I told him through our messages. Jason agreed immediately, probably calculating how much rent money this job could cover. Meanwhile, I prepared meticulously for the legal battle ahead. I consulted with 3 divorce attorneys before choosing Patricia Brown, a woman known for her aggressive tactics and her particular hatred of adultery cases. She reviewed my evidence with professional satisfaction. "This is airtight," she said, flipping through the photographs. "She'll get nothing beyond what the law requires." I documented everything through Patricia's guidance, every purchase, every lie, every suspicious text pattern. I legally transferred our shared assets into individual accounts, boxed up important documents, and quietly removed sentimental items from the house. Vanessa was too distracted by her affair to notice her life being systematically dismantled. I also did something I never thought myself capable of. I began studying how people disappear. Late-night research into missing persons cases, unsolved disappearances, true crime forums discussing the kinds of people who vanish without a trace. I learned that most cases go cold because there's no body, no witness, no digital trail leading anywhere conclusive. People disappear when they're isolated, when no one expects to hear from them regularly, when they have no routine others depend on. People like Jason Whitmore. I drove to the rural property I'd inherited from my grandfather, 2 hours northeast of the city, isolated and long forgotten. The old workshop was still standing, tools still hanging on pegboard walls. I cleaned it thoroughly, organized the equipment, made sure everything was in working order. I told myself I was just keeping options open, just preparing for possibilities. But deep down, I knew exactly what I was building toward. This past Tuesday, I filed the divorce papers. Wednesday, I informed my team I'd be taking personal days starting Friday. Yesterday, Thursday, arrived, and I woke up feeling strangely calm. I came home at 5 p.m. and watched Vanessa get ready for her shopping trip. I could see the edge of new lingerie under her clothes. She wasn't even trying to hide her intentions anymore. My phone buzzed with a message from Jason. "Heading to the warehouse now. Thanks again for this opportunity." At 7 p.m. sharp, Jason Whitmore arrived at the abandoned warehouse with his camera equipment, eager and completely oblivious that the potential client was the husband of the woman he'd been sleeping with every Thursday for 3 months. We talked for exactly 8 minutes before I told him who I was. I won't describe what happened after that moment of recognition dawned in his eyes. That sudden understanding that he'd walked into something he couldn't walk out of. Some details are better left hanging in the air, where they can properly haunt the people who need haunting. What I will say is this. The rural property proved very useful. The workshop tools were exactly what I needed, and Jason Whitmore's financial desperation meant no one was expecting to hear from him for several days. By this morning, I was back at work as if nothing had happened. Now, sitting in our living room watching Vanessa cry over divorce papers, she finally asks the question I've been waiting for. "John," she whispers, looking up at me with growing horror. "What did you do to Jason?" "What did I do?" I answer calmly. She asked me what I did to him, over and over, her voice rising to a scream. "What did you do? What did you do?" I didn't answer immediately. Some questions are better left hanging in the air, where they can haunt you properly. Vanessa stands slowly, backing away from me like I'm a stranger, which, in a way, I suppose I am. The man she married would never have done what I've just implied. The man she married was trusting, forgiving, naive enough to believe in happily ever after. "Oh my God, John. What did you do to him?" she asks, her voice barely above a whisper. "What did I do?" I lean forward in my chair, my voice sharpening to a blade. I protected what was mine. I removed a threat. I did exactly what was necessary when my wife decided to betray me every Thursday for 3 months. You couldn't have, she stammers, shaking her head in denial. "You'll never find out. Neither will anyone else," I respond with cold certainty. Jason Whitmore is a freelance photographer with no family, no steady clients, no one who depends on hearing from him regularly. He's exactly the kind of person who disappears and nobody notices for weeks. By the time anyone files a missing persons report, if they even do, any trail will be ice cold. Her hand reaches instinctively for her phone, but I catch her wrist. Not hard, but firmly enough to make my point. "I'm calling the police," she declares frantically. "And telling them what?" I interrupt, my laugh coming out harsh, unfamiliar. That your husband discovered your affair and now you're worried about your lover? You think they'll launch a full investigation based on a spurned wife's paranoia? Jason could be anywhere right now. Could have ghosted you like the coward he is. Could have run off with another woman. Could have decided San Francisco wasn't working out and moved back east. There are 1,000 explanations, Vanessa, and all of them are more believable than whatever theory you're constructing in your guilty conscience. You're insane, she whispers, backing further away. No, I reply, standing and stepping closer while she shrinks back against the wall. I'm just done being disrespected in my own home by my own wife. She looks down at the divorce papers still scattered across our floor, the floor where we used to dance to jazz records on quiet Sunday mornings. I won't sign these. You can't force me. Sign them, or I release the video publicly, I state matter-of-factly. Every friend, every family member, everyone in your professional network gets to see exactly what kind of person you are. Your parents, your colleagues, your sorority sisters from college, everyone you've ever cared about gets a front row seat to you f***ing Jason in his bed. Your choice. Her face crumbles completely now. The confident, successful woman I married has been replaced by this trembling, desperate creature who destroyed everything good in her life for some fleeting excitement. John, please, we can still fix this. We can go to counseling. We can work through this, she pleads desperately. There's nothing to fix, I answer, gathering up the scattered papers. You destroyed us the first time you spread your legs for him. The vulgarity hits her like a physical blow. She's never heard me speak like this. Never seen this side of me that apparently existed all along, waiting for the right betrayal to wake it up. What happened to you? She whispers through her tears. You're not the man I married. Neither are you the woman I married, I reply coldly. She would never have betrayed me. But you did. And now you get to live with the consequences. Vanessa sinks to her knees on the hardwood floor we refinished together last spring, literally begging now. I'll do anything. I'll disappear. I'll never bother you again. Just please, please tell me you didn't hurt him. Get out, I command. The words are flat, final, carrying the weight of absolute authority. John, she tries once more. Get out, I roar, shaking the picture frames on the walls, photos of our wedding, our honeymoon, all the happy moments she poisoned with her betrayal. Sign the papers, or I destroy what's left of your pathetic life. Those are your only options. Patricia will deliver copies to wherever you're staying tomorrow morning. You have 48 hours. She scrambles to her feet, grabbing her purse with hands that won't stop shaking. At the door, she turns back one final time, and I see something that might be genuine remorse. Too little, too late. If you hurt him? If you did something to Jason, they'll find out. They always find out, she says with desperate conviction. I've already turned away, picking up the TV remote like she's ceased to exist. An old Bogart film is playing on the classic movie channel, one we used to watch together, curled up on this same couch, back when we still believed in forever. Goodbye, Vanessa. I hope the excitement was worth it, I say without looking at her. The door slams behind her, and the sound echoes through the empty house like a gunshot. I sit back down in my leather chair, watching Humphrey Bogart light a cigarette on the screen. The black and white shadows flicker across the room, but I'm not really watching. I'm listening to the silence, the profound, deafening silence of a house that used to hold love and now holds only the ghost of what I used to be. Somewhere in the city tonight, Vanessa is probably calling Jason's phone and hearing it go straight to voicemail. Maybe she's driving to his apartment, finding it dark and empty. Maybe she's sitting in her car, trying to decide if she should really go to the police, wondering if I actually did what I implied or if it's all just psychological warfare designed to torture her. I don't particularly care which. The outcome is the same either way. She's gone. Jason's gone. The life I built with her is gone. And I'm exactly where I chose to be. alone in a house that feels like a mausoleum, watching old movies about men who commit perfect crimes and then slowly unravel while waiting to be caught. I used to think those stories were unrealistic. Now I understand them perfectly. The weeks following our confrontation unfold. Vanessa signs the divorce papers within 48 hours. My threat to release the video publicly proves more effective than any legal coercion could have been. Patricia Brown handles the proceedings with ruthless efficiency, ensuring every I is dotted, every T crossed, every loophole sealed. The prenuptial agreement I insisted on 4 years ago, which Vanessa found unromantic at the time, strips her of any claim to my assets, my property, my pension, my future earnings. She gets the bare minimum mandated by California law and not 1 penny more. Patricia smiles when she shows me the final settlement documents. She should have thought about this before she decided to play house with a photographer, she remarks with professional satisfaction. Through Patricia, I hear that Vanessa has lost weight, looks haggard, hasn't been sleeping well. She tried calling me dozens of times in those first weeks after that Thursday night. I blocked her number after the 5th voicemail. She showed up at the house once around midnight, pounding on the door and crying my name. I called the police for trespassing. She never returned. At work, I maintain perfect professionalism. No one knows the real story behind my divorce, just that it happened quickly and I seem to be handling it well. When colleagues express sympathy or curiosity, I offer a simple, practiced explanation. We grew apart. It happens sometimes, I tell them. They assume it was amicable, that both parties moved on peacefully. No one suspects the darkness underneath. My productivity actually improves. I arrive early, stay late, channel whatever emotions I have left into designing better bridges and more sustainable infrastructure. My supervisor mentions my promotion potential has never looked better. 2 weeks after Vanessa moved out, 2 detectives knock on my door. Detective Sarah and Detective Michael Rodriguez, both looking tired and routine. A neighbor filed a wellness check request for Jason Whitmore after not seeing him for several weeks. His apartment shows no signs of struggle, but he hasn't posted on social media, hasn't responded to client emails, hasn't shown up for scheduled photography sessions. He's simply gone. The detectives found my fake Instagram account in Jason's message history, the conversation about the photography job, the scheduled meeting at the abandoned warehouse. I play my role perfectly, calm, cooperative, appropriately confused. Yes, I was interested in hiring him for some corporate headshots, I explain. I thought the industrial warehouse aesthetic might work for our company's rebranding project. We scheduled a meeting for 7 o'clock. He never showed up. I waited about 30 minutes, then assumed he'd flaked out or found a better-paying gig. I deleted the account when I went with a different photographer. Did you know Mr. Whitmore was involved with your wife? Detective Rodriguez asks directly. My ex-wife? No, how would I know something like that? I respond smoothly. The lie flows effortlessly. Raymond Fletcher's investigation report is protected by attorney-client privilege, and I never mention hiring a private investigator. The detectives ask to look around the house. I consent immediately, even offer them coffee. The space is clean, ordinary, recently redecorated. Nothing incriminating anywhere. They thank me for my cooperation and leave. Detective Sarah hands me her card. If you think of anything else that might help, please call us, she says professionally. I close the door and my hands don't shake. My heart rate stays perfectly steady. I've become someone who can lie to police without flinching. The investigation stalls within weeks. No body, no witnesses, no evidence of foul play. Just a freelance photographer with unstable income and no close family who suddenly stopped answering his phone. His landlord eventually cleans out his apartment when rent goes unpaid. His social media accounts go dormant. He becomes another statistic, another missing person whose case goes cold in the filing cabinets of overworked detectives. Vanessa tries to tell police she suspects me, but she has no proof. just the desperate accusations of a bitter ex-wife whose own infidelity destroyed her marriage. The detectives note her statement but don't pursue it seriously. Patricia keeps me informed about Vanessa's increasingly erratic behavior. Her wild theories only undermine her own credibility, Patricia tells me during one of our final meetings. I learned through mutual acquaintances that Vanessa moved to Portland, took a retail job after her marketing career imploded when word of the affair spread through her professional network. She's alone, broken, haunted by questions that will never be answered. I should feel victorious. I won everything, kept my house, my assets, my reputation. She lost everything, her marriage, her career, her standing in the community. But sitting alone in the townhouse I designed for two, watching noir films in the dark, I feel hollow. The rage that sustained me has burned out, leaving only ash. The police stopped calling months ago. The detectives moved on to cases with actual evidence. Jason Whitmore became just another name in the missing persons database, filed away and forgotten. And I became just another divorced man living alone in a house too big for one person. We all became ghosts in our own way. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I still live in the townhouse I designed for a marriage that no longer exists. But everything has changed. I've systematically removed every trace of Vanessa. Photographs, furniture we chose together, even the expensive coffee maker she loved. The space is minimalist now, sterile, like me. Work continues to be my refuge. The promotion came through last month. My laser focus during the divorce proceedings impressed my superiors, who interpreted my dedication as resilience rather than escape. I've become one of those men who lives at the office, filling the void with projects and meetings that extend deep into evening so I don't have to face the silence at home. I attempted dating once, a colleague's well-meaning setup with an attractive architect named Sarah. Over dinner, she asked about my divorce with genuine kindness. I gave my rehearsed answer. We grew apart. Sometimes it just happens, I told her. She sensed I was holding back but didn't push. After 3 dates, she gently suggested I wasn't ready for a relationship. I didn't disagree. Occasionally, I receive updates about Vanessa through mutual friends who don't know the full story. She's managing a boutique clothing store in Portland now, her marketing career permanently destroyed. She lives alone in a studio apartment. No new relationships. Her social media, what little exists, shows forced smiles and inspirational quotes about second chances. I stopped checking after a few months. The Jason Whitmore case remains officially unsolved. Cold. Filed away with hundreds of other missing persons who vanished without explanation. I never returned to my grandfather's rural property, though I haven't sold it either. It sits there in the darkness, slowly decaying, a monument to choices made and lines crossed. Sometimes I consider burning it down, erasing that final connection to what happened that Thursday night. But I don't. Maybe some part of me needs it to exist, needs the physical proof of what I became capable of doing. Late at night, when insomnia strikes hardest, I pour whiskey and watch those old noir films. The morally ambiguous protagonists, the femme fatale, the men who make terrible choices for understandable reasons. I used to watch them as entertainment. Now they feel like confessions. Do I regret what I did? The divorce, certainly not. Vanessa deserved to lose everything she had built with me. But the other thing, that's more complicated. Did I actually cross that final line that Thursday evening? Or did I simply let everyone believe I had, weaponizing their assumptions as part of my revenge? I know the truth. But I'll never speak it aloud, never write it down, never confess it even in the privacy of my own thoughts. Because some truths, once acknowledged, change you irreversibly. And maybe I've changed enough already. I finish my whiskey, turn off the television, and sit in the darkness of my empty house. Outside, the city continues its endless cycle. People falling in love, betraying each other, destroying each other, surviving each other. My story is just one thread in that vast, indifferent tapestry. Tomorrow I'll wake up, go to work, exist. It's not happiness. It's not redemption. It's survival. One day at a time, carrying the weight of what I know, what I did, what I became. Sometimes I wonder if she lies awake asking questions with no answers, haunted by suspicions she can never prove. Sometimes I wonder if Jason is alive somewhere, hiding, too terrified to surface. But mostly I don't wonder at all. Mostly I just exist in this house I built, in this life I designed, in this silence I earned. They say the perfect crime is one that's never solved. What they never mention is that the real punishment isn't getting caught. It's getting away with it and having to live with yourself afterward. Was it worth it? I still don't know. Ask me tomorrow, or the day after that.